Hi, everyone. Good morning or good
Hi,
afternoon, depending on where you
everyone.
are. It's never certain in the travel industry, right? Who knows what where everybody is at the moment. But whatever time zone you're in, thank you for being here. Excited to meet you all. We have a good group today, a diverse group today. So looking forward to getting started. We still have people that are joining at this moment. We'll take just a moment and we'll let them in and then we'll go ahead. Oh, I see a lot of familiar names. Hi, Greg and Lynn and Rebecca, all the people, some people I know, some people I don't know. Good to see you here and good to meet all the rest of you. Okay. Well, I think people will begin to come in as we're going along. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Hi, thanks, Rebecca, for your note. So great. Well, welcome everyone. So glad that you're here. My name is Carrie Wallace, and I am the founder of FamGuru. I've also been a travel advisor and an agency owner for over 20 years. I'm here today with Melissa Lopez. She is
Hi,
from our
everyone.
development, yeah, she's from our development team in Argentina. So she's super interested to hear your reactions and to listen to what everybody has to say today, including me. And she'll be doing the moderating today. If you have a question, you're welcome to drop it in the chat. You're also welcome to raise your hand. We'll take them as we go because you will be seeing certain things. You'll have a question. Let's address it at that moment. And actually, questions are my favorite part because they teach us something and I think it makes it all the more interesting during the presentation. So I'm going to do just a little bit of talking today before I share my screen. So in terms of what we're going to be doing today, we're going to see what FamGuru is and how it works. We're going to show you how it can help you and your organization and understand how it helps the people that we're serving, our advisors, our participants, our press members, our influencers before the trip, help them be better prepared before the trip, during the trip, so they can better capture their learnings as they go, and after the trip to set them up for success to sell the destinations and the products that they're seeing. So, looking forward to sharing all of that with you. But maybe before I dive in, let me give you just a bit of background. So, I said I was an advisor, and so why did I start FamGuru? Why did I see that there was a need for this? Well, as an advisor, I've had the good fortune to do many FAMs in my 20-year history. And I was always a bit frustrated, right? There's so much coming at us. We see so many hotels. We experience wonderful places. We're eating at great restaurants. And it was really hard for me to get organized afterwards to be able to take that information, put it into something that I could use for my clients or to share with my team. I find it difficult to actually come back and sell proactively. It's great if you have a client who comes to you and has a lead, perfect. You can remember what you did at the time, but being proactive was very hard for me. So I always wanted to have something while I was on the trip. Why isn't there one place that I can take all of my notes, organize all my photos and videos, and then when I get back, auto-generate a report that I can share with my clients and my colleagues for marketing purposes? Why isn't there an app for that? Well, that's how FamGuru came about because there wasn't an app for that. So that was the first build of FamGuru was an app. However, I very quickly realized that our partners have different pain points with fam trips as well. There's a lot to organize. They spend a lot of time and a lot of money putting these great trips together. But that's a difficult process. And if we, the participants, cannot get organized to be proactive with the information that we learn, then nobody's getting the kind of return on investment that they really should be from these trips. So we built a part of FamGuru that works for those who are hosting fam trips as well, to streamline that process, take time out of that process, and then better engage the participants so that we all can go out and do what we need to do afterwards, whether that's write an article, sell to clients or, put out our social media posts. So that's what FamGuru is. It's a system to manage the FAM process from start to finish. And so we're taking technology and making that planning and execution easier, and then helping the participants be more organized, more proactive, and more likely to do what we all need to do. We all aligned. We all want the best for our destinations and our hotels and our products. So that's what FamGuru is, and we'll tell you. We have a good cross section of people today. We have DMOs, we have hoteliers, we have marketing representation companies, and so forth. We all have fam trips in common, and we all have a process that is used, right? But that process varies so widely. And so it's what we're trying to do here is to create a system and to help systematize that process to make it easier for everyone. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And why is that important? Fam trips are a marketing program, and all of us are investing that time and money and energy to make them, to pull them off well. So we want to maximize the experience so that we get the best ROI for the least amount of effort. So we're here to bring technology to something that's been in the industry for so long that it's time that we help everybody along with it. Okay, just as a high level agenda, we're going to be going through the FamGuru, a demo of FamGuru, how to set up a fam trip, different elements to automate the fam trip creation process, the fam trip management process, showing you how you can better engage with your participants before, during, and after the trip, talking about how they can use FamGuru so that they're more organized and can capture their learnings. And then we'll talk about the future of FamGuru and a bit about our revenue model so you can understand that. But before we get started, any initial questions before I dive in and share a screen? Do I see Marina has no, that was my cursor. I thought somebody had a hand up. Sorry. Okay, great.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Okay, great. So
Mhm.
let me go ahead and share my screen. So we'll go ahead and move into the demo part of this. And again, whenever you have a question, please just go ahead and either speak up or drop it in the chat. And let me bring over my screen. Hopefully, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, welcome to FamGuru, everyone. We're going to be working off the FamGuru website today. FamGuru has two parts. There's a mobile version, an app, and there's also a website. The website is best for when you're organizing the trip, but they're interchangeable. So anything you can do on the web, 97% of it you can do on the app as well. So please keep that in mind. And so if you have a last minute change and you're not at your computer, you can change it on your app as well. So I will start out by sharing just a little bit about the account structure. So we all use apps and software. Everybody has an account. That's true on FamGuru too. However, what are we collecting in this part of FamGuru? We're collecting the information that everybody needs on a fam trip to begin with, person's name, uh, contact information, their social handles, their emergency contacts, their professional information, just a little bit about them, and their dietary needs. But why are we doing this? The uh, the reason we're doing this is because all of this information matters to the trip. Now, not every one of you will be dealing with all of the specific details of the participants, but if you are, this information can be compiled, it can be pulled out of FamGuru, and it can be sent along to those who need to see it, whether that's your reference or a hotelier in country's reference. All of that can be compiled very easily. So it takes the pain out of the management of the data. We'll show you how that happens as we go through the demo today, but it's part of it has to do with what people are doing within their account profile. Going back to the homepage, what we have here is really just a snapshot of what's going on. We have our active trips, so anything that's happening today or in the future. We have notifications, so if one of your participants is notifying you about something, you'll see that here. We have, of course, all of our past trips as well. Setting up a trip is super easy. And all it requires is you'll start with the hero image. This is an image that will represent your trip to your participants before, during, or after. So they'll know it's you now or 2 years from now when they're referring back to their FamGuru. We have some stock imagery here. Of course, you'll probably want to upload your own. I'll comment on this part in a moment. The key information to set up the initial structure, you just need a title for your trip. You need to select your organization. You can have more than one organization. Maybe you have different divisions you'd like to segment by, and then start and end date. When you invite participants into your trip in FamGuru, they'll receive an email, and this is the text that they'll receive in the email, so you can customize this. So, hey, please get set up on FamGuru, and then you can join our trip. And so this would be, just a couple sentences. And then a trip description. Again, a couple sentences about what is the essence of this trip? What are we going to learn? So that when they look at it, they'll know, and they will also be able to refer back to that and be reminded quite easily. This would create the structure of the trip. Recently, we've added our first AI feature. So if you have a document that already has the structure of your trip listed and it can be put into PDF, that could be something that's been in PowerPoint, that's come out of an itinerary tool, that is in a spreadsheet that you have put into PDF, you can upload it here. FamGuru will read that information, it will extract the data, and it will put it into the structure of the itinerary within FamGuru. It's a huge time-saving device, and so we won't actually do it right now, just in the interest of time, because it does take a couple of minutes to upload. But especially if it's a long document, but please know that that's there for your convenience and your use. And while AI isn't perfect and you have to check all of the data, it's really, really helping a lot of our clients and users right now. So that's just a little bit about that. Okay, I won't actually create a trip right now, but rather I will go back to one that's already built so that we can see it together. And let's take a look at this. All right. What we have here is the trip's homepage. You see the hero image here. If we wanted to edit anything about that trip, we would use that button right there, whether that's dates or the title or what have you. And so that would take us back to the prior page that we saw. We have just a snapshot of our participants, any latest notifications, and what's up next on the trip. This isn't until January, so it would be the first day of the trip. Let's go first of all to the itinerary. We'll be working off the left-hand navigation bar here. And again, I will mention this is going to be really, really simple, or really, really similar to the app itself. The structure is almost, you would recognize it immediately in the app, just to let you know. Going to the itinerary. So this is what the AI would bring in for you. You would not have to manually create each one of these elements, but let's say you are planning to manually create something in the trip. You can add a hotel stay, you can add a site inspection, you can add a restaurant. For those in the cruise industry, we can add a cruise or a ship inspection, and any other type of element that you might like. That could be an activity, a transfer, a flight. We will be creating icons for flights and tours, for example, soon. We have a lot of requests for that, so we'll do that. We just don't want to have 15 icons across the top here. But other, not elsewhere classified is other for the moment. Let's just show you how to add an element to the trip. So we're going to add a site inspection. So maybe you're not staying in this hotel, but you're going to be visiting it. So we're in Santa Monica, California. So we're going to look at shutters on the beach. This is Google Maps enabled. So it's very easy to add to the trip. And that brings in all of the information that Google has, including website address and whatnot. And we can add a time here. Let's add it for the afternoon. I will mention, we're in 12-hour clock here, but under preferences, you can set a 24-hour clock if that's how you prefer to work. And your participants can set it in 12-hour clock, and they'll see it the way they want to see it. You'll see it the way you want to see it. So they sync perfectly however you want to view the times. For this hotel, if we have any contacts, whether that's a director of sales, or maybe if you're a marketing representation company, you just want this to be you, or whoever you think that they should have, that participant should have, you would add that here. A description of the property, whether that's your consortia description or a couple sentences that you put together. Google doesn't bring in the phone number, but that's easy enough to add. And next, we have the ability to upload any of the professional photos and video that the property might like to display. Why is this important? Well, what we're doing right now is we're creating what I call the professional portion of the FamGuru archive for the participants. So this is the information that you're adding so that they have it in advance for reference during and also after. And so this is something that they can use to warm up their social media audience. For example, hey, I'm going to Saudi Arabia next week. Check out what I'm going to be seeing. I'll come back with some great insights. Or if you have any files about the property you want to drop here, whether that's a spa menu or a activity list, what have you. Then finalizing it, we're just reviewing everything. If you're doing the same itinerary multiple times, you can add this element to the library. So you can bring that in later on. If you're doing a different itinerary, you can just pull it in without having to go through this process once again. So let's save that to the itinerary and see what we have. Great. So now we've dropped in the site inspection on the first day. So yeah, so this is the structure that we're putting together for our participants. So you'll notice this is not necessarily the wonderful marketing brochure that you're putting together to get people interested in joining the trip. That would be, that's something that, everybody does that differently. And so we encourage you to continue to do that. We can always attach that over here for reference if you wish. The structure that we're putting together is something that's going to be transmitted to the participants through their apps. So let me just talk a little bit about that. They're going to be taking notes and uploading their photos and their impressions, and they can do that for any one of these within the itinerary. So I like to, in a given destination, start with a notes section. It's an other booking. It's really simple and very simple. You just put it in at the very beginning of the destination. And what are they going to do with that? I'm going to show you how they can start to take their notes. And one can do this again on the app or on the web. We call this insights. So as they're going along, they can add their insights. And let me go into the edit mode here. For a given element of the trip, they can rate it, they can put in their photo and video, and they can add their public comments. So public up here, private down here. Why do we have both? Well, public is something that the host of the trip can see. As a participant on your trip, I think it's incumbent on them to be able to share what they think with you. Many people do surveys afterwards. This is an opportunity for them to provide you with some, they're taking their notes, but you can see what they're doing. There's a part of FamGuru where I'll show you what you can see from what the participants are doing. But people, advisors, and others have been very careful to tell us that, oh, maybe we don't want to share everything. So maybe I have, I have some very detailed things that not everyone needs to know. Or maybe this hotel perhaps was a do not sell for me because it just did not fit with my business. But they wanted a place so that they knew that they could have private comments. We're also encouraging people to think about, okay, who is this good for? And so, we need for our participants to be thinking ahead. Who is going to enjoy this property? Who is going to enjoy this activity or this destination? So on a high level basis, here's honeymoons, couples, and foodies, or specific clients or specific audiences that you would, the participant would like to call out. So it's meant to provide a place for things that you can see and things that only they can see. Let's go back to the itinerary. I'd also just like to show you about about a hotel stay. And it's a bit different than another type of booking. It has more information. So this is the information that we crafted earlier between Google and the information I've put in, my contacts and file from the property. So if I'm adding insights, this will look a little different. It still has the public notes. And so here are some of the general photos that I decided to add and my public comments and some private notes. If there are other contacts at this property that maybe hadn't been added, I could add that right here. Rooms. I mean, I don't know about all of you or the people on your trip, but as an advisor, I take hundreds of photos of hotel rooms and then cannot remember which hotel it was after I was there. This allows the participant to segment that information. So here are some general room photos, general room comments, but if I want to do this by room, I can. Oh my gosh, for once now I can share this with my client or whoever I need to after I get back and say, oh, yeah, that was the room I stayed in. And I'll mention that any one of the photos in the app can be put out onto social media. They can be downloaded for use and for marketing purposes later. So these are things that we want people to remember what they see and what they thought, and to know, to be able to share that even 6 months from now. Food and beverage, if you have multiple outlets in a property, it's good to be able for them to capture that, whether on a general basis or on a specific outlet basis. Wellness, whether that's the spa, the gym, the tennis courts, the golf course, whatever it is. My other favorite is common areas. People like to engage deeply with a hotel, but sometimes we forget, right? And so if we look at the kinds of common areas that are here, this would jog my memory. And so if I'm a family travel advisor and I haven't seen the kids club or asked about the kids program, oh, I should ask my host about that. So that helps the participant better engage with the property as they're going through it. Remember to take those photos and to organize those photos. So this is a key part for the participant to be engaging. So any questions so far? You're getting a sense
Yes.
of how the itinerary works. Okay, go ahead, Millie.
Wonderful. So Jennifer asks if we can create a materials for past trips, past fam trips, and that's really interesting. And can you talk further about how to create past fam trips and also how to recollect all that data?
You know what I think I'd like to do, Jennifer? I'm going to get to that. So maybe what I'm going to do is just put a hold on that question for a moment, go through a couple other parts, and then show you how that all comes together at the conclusion of the trip and what the tools that we have currently, and also speak about the tools that we're planning to have for the future. So thank you, Millie. Don't let me forget that. She
Absolutely.
knows I can go galloping off and at breakneck speed. So okay, great. But thank you for that. Thank you for that question, and we'll get to that absolutely. So that was just a bit about the itinerary. You can with the itinerary you can duplicate a given itinerary for the future and use that again, or you can duplicate a certain item in the itinerary. If you have breakfast at leisure every day, you can use this little key over here and duplicate the elements, so you can use that across different days. So pretty straightforward so far. Okay, and again, Melly, just jump in if any other questions come up. I'd
Of
like to
course.
take you now to the members tab. So as you're creating a trip, somebody who creates the trip would be considered the primary administrator of the trip. You can invite people into the trip with their email address, and then you'll choose what their role is within the trip, whether that's a participant or an admin, so someone who can help you edit the trip while you're, in another admin to help you do the editing and the structuring of the trip. Or it can be a viewer, so somebody that just needs to know what's going on but doesn't necessarily need admin rights. So we have the ability to invite all of that, all of them. As soon as you invite someone, they do get the invitation email in their inbox. So I usually recommend that you have at least a skeleton itinerary worked out in FamGuru. We all know that fam trips change all the way up until the last moment, which is highly frustrating, but you can change things in FamGuru and it will be pushed out to your participants in their app as you change it. So even if it's a half hour before things start or while the trip is going on, if you make a modification, they will see it in real time. So, okay. But what do we have here? So let's look at this column here, requirements. Okay, 0 out of 2, 2 out of 2. What does that mean? Well, quite often we need information from our participants. We might need a passport. We might need their spa gender preference. If they're going to the spa one day, we need to know about their therapist that they would prefer. So we have a section here called requirements. Now, requirements can be your arrival and departure flight information. It can be a passport. It can be anything else. So if you wanted to add that, what FamGuru does is you'll create the requirement. This sends out an email to each participant saying that, hey, we need some information from you. It would also ping them in their apps to say, hey, we need this information from you. And as the deadline approaches, then FamGuru will continue to remind them that maybe they haven't done this yet. So we're trying to eliminate all that email chasing and follow-up. So we're using technology to help you do that. Once they do that, you'll get a notification that they did their requirements. You approve it, and they're good to go. So then you'll start to see that tally sheet on the members that they'll be 1 out of 2 now or 2 out of 2. So we also, while you're doing these, if you want this to be something you compile, for example, if you want this in a spreadsheet, and I'll show you about that, you would tick right there. We'll talk about that in just a second. But this allows you to use technology to try to help get this information. I know at least for travel advisors, those of you who are dealing with the press or influencers, maybe it's the same thing. We're the worst. And we're the worst at providing all of our information prior to the trip because we're so busy helping other people. I know I am the worst. I'm always the worst offender. So, okay. Anyway, a bit more about this list. If we have all of the information in our participants' profiles and we have some information from the requirements, we can take that and export that information into a spreadsheet. And a lot of people create a spreadsheet. Some of you don't. Some of you, if you're in the DMO world, let's see. if you're in the DMO world, sometimes your local tour your local partners are handling all of this and bringing it over to you prior to the trip. But if you are, where did that spreadsheet go? Hold on a second. I'm going to just close that and open that up again. Apologies for that. Hopefully it will be there this time.
Yeah, it found a okay.
Okay, let's
Yeah, say yes.
okay,
Yeah,
that's yeah, Melly,
there
we'll
we
have to
go.
talk about that. That's what
Absolutely.
part of why Melissa is on this call because she can see the things we need to work on a little bit. But FamGuru auto creates a spreadsheet for you if that's what you're working on with profile information. And here's all the dietaries that everybody's going to need and all of their contact information. And regarding those passports, which we've put in the spreadsheet, oh my goodness, there's the passport. Wow, easy. So you're not having to deal with files. It's all right there if you don't want to deal with files. But just to let you know, that's a, let me go back here. That's just a little bit about how we're trying to time save and help people deal with data for those of you dealing with lots of participant data. Let's talk about an individual participant too. So here, let's look at mine. We have, because I've accepted your trip, my profile details have come in, my dietaries and whatnot, so you can refer to that. My requirements, we can see how Carrie has been doing on the requirements. Uh, Fortunately, she's done well. Her status is approved. What about the reviews? So we were talking about how the participants can do their reviews. So, oh, wow, here is my public review from this particular hotel. This is what I said. This was my rating. These are my photos that I thought were interesting. So you can see how your participants are engaging along the trip. Whether that's the walking tour, whether that's the cruise or other things, the notes on the destination, it's there for you to see how they're using it. What I recommend, what I think a best practice is that you ask your participants at a very minimum to fill out their public reviews. I think they owe it to you. Often, you're oftentimes sponsoring this to a large degree. So they should be capturing some information that you'll be able to look at and understand how they're experiencing the destination as you're going. So I think it's something that's really good to ask. And I think people value being told to do their reviews too. So just a bit about that. So we had the question earlier about, well, what do we do with that information? If we have all of these reviews, we can export them into a compilation. So let's say you have 6 people on your trip, you can see what they say. And so we're creating basically a docx right now, an editable document that compiles all of that. Apparently Microsoft wants me to do some things today. And so what we have right here is the snapshot of the overall trip. And then down here, we're starting to gather the information. So under the Santa Monica notes, Carrie gave it a 5-star rating. She didn't write anything about it, but she thought it was 5-star. If we had other participants and their data, they would follow. So you would be able to see and have a 360-degree view of what the group is thinking. You can share that with your own internal team. You can, for your educational purposes, you can share that with any partners that you have in the trip, whether that's a hotelier or a DMC, so that they can see what's being said. You can share it with the wider group to reinforce all of the learnings because people also take different things away from a trip, and it's great to see what other people are thinking because you learn more that way. And then finally, if you anonymize this instead of Carrie Wallace putting advisor one, this can be a powerful sales tool to say, hey, this is a recent fam trip, and this is what people said. So that somebody else who maybe hasn't visited the destination will not visit the destination, but you're still in contact with, can see what their peers actually had to say about the trip. And that's very, very powerful. I've seen some of our clients use that before. And for things in Panama that maybe I've never seen before. And I could sell that destination without having been there based on the feedback and the photos. And so very powerful tool. So that answers part of, I think it was Jennifer's question. Um, I think that's all I wanted to go into on the members. Just one other thing. If you're dealing with, let's say you're having a dinner with the general general manager of a property one day, and they need a little bit of background, or the back of house needs some information, you can export the member's profile into a nice dossier and share that again with whoever needs to see that. So we have, the personal details, the professional details, and the dietaries. So this can go back of house. And so anybody who needs to have a snapshot of the participants will have it right there, just in case it's of use. And again, some of this is going to be useful to you, maybe some of it isn't, but the idea is to be able to help you on the front end, the organizing process, and to be able to also communicate and have your advisors or influencers, whoever, take their notes along the way too, so that they can be better equipped to be selling afterwards. Let's talk a little bit, Melly, I'll ask again any questions at this point. Good.
No, not now.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Okay.
We have one.
Okay, there is one. Great.
So wonderful. Erica is asking, for members that will be set for view only, can they only join via email invite, or is there a general link that can be created?
Very interesting question, Erica. There are times where we have something in process that's similar to what you're talking about, but this is actually interesting to Melly and me. There are times where maybe you have a driver that needs to have access to the group to be able to talk to them, or maybe you have somebody that doesn't, maybe you don't invite them to the trip, but they do need to see something. We are working on a system that will invite an outside participant to be able to see certain aspects of the trip. As long as we're talking about this, Melly, I might as well dive into the whole concept of the chat function. We see this
Yeah.
we see this request a couple times when it comes to the chat. We do have a chat function because why? Everybody usually sets up a WhatsApp group, and WhatsApp is great. What WhatsApp also takes that data and after about a year puts it into very deep storage. So you may not get all your photos, or you may not be able to access all the videos that were shared there. And so at FamGuru, we want for everyone to always have access to that, even a year later, because you never know when you're going to need that content, right? And so we're on a mission to provide an alternative to the WhatsApp group. And so this is a place where people can chat with one another. They can do it on a group basis here or on a one-to-one basis. So I can chat to Melly or I can create a private group. I can also over here, if I choose to add any media, I can add a photo, a video, a file. And so that's very, very important. We need to be able to share that information. But sometimes people need to be part of this chat. Maybe they just need to know maybe it's just a driver or a concierge that's setting something up for us in a couple of hours. So we need the ability to invite in. And so what you're asking about, Erica, is how would we invite somebody else in without having to make them an actual account? So I think we should take that into account as we're working on the invitation process here. And so it would go out basically via an email or a phone, an SMS to bring that person into the trip so that they can see what's going on, if that makes sense. That was a long answer, but hopefully that covered a couple different things. And as long as we're talking about replacing the WhatsApp group, and again, this is another way we would help do that is through the gallery. So this is the shared photo gallery. You can also put short video in here. And so if you're hosting, you can preload some photos here again to help people warm up their social media audience. Any photo in here on the app can be put onto social media. This is also a place where people can share their photos. So it could be the sunset photos, the best room photos, the iconic location photos, the group photos, and they'll be photo credited. But everyone here knows that this is shared, that they have access to use this. You can come back in later and select those images for your marketing material to be able to recap what happened on the fam trip for other people who you're marketing to. So and again, we can also take all of that media from the chat, and people will be asked if they want to put it in the shared gallery as they're putting it in the chat as well. So that's one way to share all those photos. The nice thing too about this is they can't leave the chat. Like you can leave a WhatsApp group. So if you want 3 months after the fact to check in and say, hey, thank you for having written that great article, or thank you for that amazing booking, then everybody else from the trip will see that you've checked in and you see that somebody else has been proactive, and give them a little FOMO about, yes, you really should be thinking about selling this destination or getting your piece written, right? So that's a little bit about the chat function that we're putting together. I'll keep moving along here unless Melly has others coming up, but
You can you can
yeah,
continue.
stop me if you do. Um, Files and info. Let's see if you have something that pertains to the whole trip. This could be entry requirements. It could be the visa application. You could put the link to the visa application in here. It could be dress code. It could be, any history of country overview, packing list, what have you. Anything that pertains generally to the trip. In the itinerary, you can attach files to a specific element of the itinerary, but this would be something that is generally applicable. We talked about requirements. We talked about the chat. Notifications, somebody accepts your trip invitation, somebody provides the copy of their passport that you need to approve. Those are the kinds of notifications that you would see here. Broadcast is a little bit like chat, and basically what it is, it's a one-way message. And so it's meant to just convey information. So if you're, oh, by the way, don't forget that the person who will be collecting you at the airport will be wearing a red polo shirt, and khaki pants, and will be holding a sign with your name. So it's if you don't want to start a whole chat, you just need to convey information. Broadcast is the way to go. Let's back up one little step again and go back to the way you can use the information. We showed the compilation here before. Let me just show you what a participant can do with a report. So I'm going to export the PDF, and what am I export? It'll take just a moment to generate, but what is this? This is for the person who's been on your trip and has taken all of their notes and their video and their photos and whatnot, and it has put it up, and we're able to compile it for them so they can share it widely. This is theirs to use. They can choose to share it with you, but it will contain both the public and the private information. You can also use this if you just need a copy of the itinerary. Here it is, the itinerary itself. And then if we get further along here, here's the Santa Monica notes, what Carrie said and what she said publicly and privately. Here is the hotel stay information. That's all the information that was preloaded. So that's the professional portion of the archive, as well as we'll have to talk about that page break, Melly, as well as
Hmm.
what I have uploaded here, so I can share that with whoever I need to share that with. And I can do that in DocX too. So if I just want to clip out a piece of it, I can do that too. So this is what I always wanted because it's so much information. This is that auto generation of the report after the trip that I can go ahead and share this. Because what we're trying to do is, one person, it's great that one person sees it, right? We need to 100x that. We need to 1,000x that, whether that's to the client base of the person who visited, or it's to the entire travel agency, or to industry peers or other people that would need to see this. So we can use technology to be able to share more widely and to improve the reach and the knowledge that's been shared with just one person, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. Let's see. So we are kind of getting close to our 45 minutes here, but you've seen the high level view of FamGuru. Maybe what I'll do is I'll stop talking, right? Well, you know what? Actually, just a couple of things before I stop talking, and then I'll promise I'll open it up for more questions. But let's talk a little bit about what the future of FamGuru is. One of the things that people have told us is really important is an offline mode. So the ability to capture information when Wi-Fi might not be present. Most apps work, even Instagram, work best on strong cell or Wi-Fi service. But we also recognize if you're in the middle of Botswana, you might not have that at all times. So in 2026, we will be working on that. That is technically a little bit tricky. And especially because in FamGuru, we're collecting a lot of information. We want to make sure that if you're working offline on your phone or working offline, on your phone, most likely, that when you upload to the cloud to sync it, that we make sure that all of that data makes it there. There would be nothing worse than spending 8 hours on a flight coming home and not having that work. So it is a bit technically tricky, but it is technically feasible. So we've had a number of comments about that. one of the things we would like to be able to do is have you take a look at our advisor database and say who's good to invite to my trip because advisor or user database, who's good to invite to my trip because maybe we don't, maybe you don't know everybody you want to invite. So the ability to use our installed database of 5,000 people to say who is someone I could invite that really should be seeing my destination or my property. And then further tools to help advisors market their experience and also to help people better retain the information, certain AI tools. So if we've got data in there, how about we say, all right, AI, create me 10 Instagram posts about this particular trip that I can just send out there without having to think, boom, done. So we know that we can provide that kind of support too, so that we make, a lot of the people who are going to be selling this destination or writing about this destination do what they do very well, but they might not be good marketers. So let's help them. And they might be good salespeople. Another one would be as you're on a site inspection to be using AI to capture what your host is saying during the inspection on your phone, and then being able to upload that transcript and to do a synopsis of the site inspection and even populate that into FamGuru in the relevant parts so that that information does not necessarily have to be manually typed or is available in just a bite-sized synopsis that you can use for marketing purposes or for review purposes. Uh, we're also working on FamGuru for travel agencies, so a place where an agency can collect all of their advisors' information and use a chatbot to mine that information and to get to their colleagues' insights, even if they haven't been to your hotel or your destination or your country. So that's that, and I know Melly and the team are starting to work on that right now. She surprised me with that yesterday. It delighted me. She said, "Oh yeah, we started working on that." Like, oh, awesome. Uh, and then tools for tracking ROI. How is this getting used? Did somebody use the information to write about it? Did they make a booking? So we know that's difficult. It's not easy to do right now, but we'll be looking at ways we can do that, whether that's through GDS, whether that's through self-reporting. Hey, I wrote an article. Hey, I just booked clients. Anything that you might have in your system to be able to say, okay, what did this group do after the fact that's important? Um, and also, we're seeing that it's useful for things like roadshows and small conferences. So if you're a hotelier or you're running a roadshow up the US West Coast, for example, and you're bringing different people with you, FamGuru works really well because it has a dynamic itinerary where information can be supplied and that you know what's happening at every step of the way. So we're starting to see that one of our clients' preferred hotels is using that right now with good success, and it's making their lives a lot. It's taking time out of their director of sales and marketing from putting together those road shows in addition to their fam trips. So people are coming to us with really interesting ideas about how this can be used. Some people want to use it for consumers, some people want to use it for groups, and you may have other ideas about how to use it. So and I'll answer this question before anyone asks me, okay, how does FamGuru make money? And how do your fees work, right? And so our model is based on subscriptions. And so we do have a supplier or DMO subscription, and that's either done on a monthly basis, you can pay month to month, or on an annual basis. Currently, the plans for 2026 are going to be starting at around 129 months, $129 per month. And if it's on an annual basis, so that would be paid at initiation. And that's for your entire organization. Well, no, let me say this. For 26, we're going to have different tiers. So it kind of depends on how you're going to use FamGuru, the number of trips you have, the number of people in your organization you might want to use it. And certainly we can customize that. And I'm happy to share that with you one-on-one to the extent that's interesting. We do also have agency subscriptions. We have our first travel agencies that are becoming part of the platform. Our first one was out of Australia, which was cool. And Emma Wedding Travel out of Melbourne. And they are using it because they really value the collection process of the information of all their 15 advisors. And they're sharing that information internally so that everyone benefits from the knowledge and everyone can sell from that knowledge. So they find the collection piece very useful. We're also working with Travel Edge out of Toronto, and they run their own fam trips every year. They're working with partners such as many of you to do fam trips for their for their purposes, for their advisors. And so they have wanted it for that reason. Advisors always have a complimentary subscription. Why is that? Well, we want advisors to use this widely. We want them to take this information and share it widely. That's really key to everybody getting the return that they need from FamGuru. And so they always have the option to have a complimentary freemium subscription. We also have a premium subscription, so added features that they can pay for that if they value it to be able to be more effective in their own world too. So hopefully that gives a bit of background. I'm right at 45 minutes. I know some might have to jump off, but I'll zip it for a moment and open open up the floor for comments and questions. So it's a quiet group. Maybe it's the
It
morning, or
is.
maybe it's late the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So nothing from the group. Everybody there or not? Okay. I see Rebecca nodding her
I think
head.
we're
All right. Well, let me also just do a final, if there's no more questions, please know I'm always here to answer questions
yeah.
and I'll be following up with you with a recording, for example. I'd also just like to share how to contact us at FamGuru. If I can share my screen again. Um, Bear with me here. Where did that go? Hold on, I don't see it. Anyway, I'm having a Zoom moment right now. We're screen two. There we go. Screen two. Share, but I think it's sharing on the wrong thing. Oh, there. Can you see that, Millie? Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
We
Just
can
a
all
bit
see it.
great. Oops, that's the wrong page. Let me go back to the other page. Um, I'm happy to follow through with you and do a one-on-one conversation to talk about your specific needs. I'll give you that link in the follow-up email as well. If you haven't signed up for an account yet, we'd love for you to give it a try. Everyone has the opportunity to run a free trial. We're very happy for you to do that, and we'll onboard you and give you training to make that possible. We just onboarded New York City Tourism yesterday. They're going to be doing a trial with us, so we're super excited about that. And yeah, just drop us a note at info@famguru.app or yeah, you'll have my email address after I follow up with you as well. And we would love to show you more or to talk about what makes most sense for you and focus on the aspects of FamGuru or your fam trips that that you're most interested in working through. Like I said, I think everyone here is very
Yeah.
diverse. Everybody has a different reason while they're what different thing they're trying to optimize or improve or to save time or to improve ROI with. And so we'd love to be able to speak with you further about how we can help you do that. There's a lot here. There's a
Well,
lot more that we're going to be doing. We're really excited about it, but uh, we all have fam trips in common. They can be a lot better. Our industry has taken them for granted for a really long time, and we can really make them an important part. Well, and everybody is telling me they're doing more of them. They're becoming a more important part of how you're connecting with your audiences. So let's make them good and let's make them easy and let's make them more lucrative as well. So if there are no more
thank
comments
you,
or
Carrie. And
questions.
yeah, more questions. So Greg is asking if you have any deck that he can share with the head office.
Yeah, Greg, why don't I reach out to you and just find out what would be useful for that purpose? I'd be happy to, if we don't have it, we have a deck, but I just want to make sure that it has what you need in it. So I'll chat with you after well, I'll be in touch with you afterwards to see what would be helpful.
Again, also Jennifer says, thank you. I have a TAs waiting to hear about this. And also Monica says, do you, if you have a limit of fem trips on a monthly account as a DMO?
Okay, so on a monthly account, you mean the month to month? Actually, on a month to month
Correct.
basis, actually, it would be what the way that it's structured, we have for a given tier, you could pay by the month or you could pay by you could pay by the year and it would be a reduced monthly rate, for example, and it would come with however many fam trips are part of that tier, if that makes sense. Why don't I follow up directly with you, Jennifer? We can talk a little bit further to make sure I'm addressing your question properly.
Correct. And also with Jennifer, as she was, well, wanting to follow up for sure.
Okay, great. Well, I'll reach out to each of you individually. I'll send the recording, a little bit more information about FamGuru, and let's continue the conversation. So thanks for coming today. I really appreciate it. And awesome turnout today. It's fun to see all the different parts of the world that are represented, from Brazil to Saudi Arabia to Vienna to many different places, New Zealand, for example. So thanks everyone.